join in welcoming Keith Carswell. He's with the City of Miami's department. He's the director of the Innovation Department, and I think he's going to tell us some really great things about bringing Miami to the future. So let's go. Give it up a hand, please.
Come on. Good morning. Good morning. We can do a little better than that, right? All right. Oh, man, I think we were hanging out a little bit last night, right? But that's okay. That's okay. My name is Keith Carswell. I'm the director for the Department of Economic Innovation Development with the City of Miami. And one thing that I want to just kind of hone through my presentation, my discussion, is really about collaboration. Collaboration between the founders, the funders, local governments to really just implement things along the blockchain and actually in tech and innovation itself. So I'll just say in short, welcome to the future here in South Florida. So South Florida has always been known as the gateway, but as the gateway, you're also at the crossroads. So we've been at the crossroads of continents, at the crossroads of culture, and the crossroads of many other things. But now what has happened in the last few years is that we've evolved into being really engaged in tech and innovation. Because to be honest, hospitality and tourism will always be the cornerstone of our economy. I mean, we have the #1 cruise port in the world. We have a top 25 airport. We are #1 in terms of cargo transportation. But tech and innovation is something that is growing and that we've leaned into. So Miami's mindset, we like to lead. Now, and oftentimes when we say lead, that means that we don't mind failing sometimes, because in terms of leading, sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes, particularly when you're leading into uncharted waters, things go up and down. But it's really about leading and just seizing the opportunity in carpe diem, seizing the day. So trust. Now, I had a trust as infrastructure. And I think that is really the bedrock of the blockchain. Now, we've talked about it. Now, I had sidebar conversation with some of you as we talked about deeds, recordation of deeds on the. I don't know if this is okay. Recording deeds on the blockchain is something that has happened because in South Florida, deed theft is something that is real, and that's a problem that really needs to be addressed and solved. Because oftentimes, seniors, when they pass away, the family comes in and they find out that, well, grandma or great-grandma actually deeded the property to the neighbor or a third cousin that nobody knew about. And that is a challenging opportunity. And then also, when you talk about other countries or developing countries, there's always this thing about ownership of property and history of families owning real estate. But if things are recorded on the blockchain, then when there's a government that may overthrow a country, let's say what happened in Cuba, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, people will be able to claim ownership, proper ownership in the real estate. Now, implementation. Because oftentimes when we talk about theory, and government is where actually we're a test bed. So we have innovation districts. We're developing one, Magic City Innovation District, which is in Little Haiti, Little River. We're actually applying for an EDA grant in partnership with developers who are actually developing about $10 billion worth of development that's going into a particular area. And we're going to leverage that with some EDA funding to test, to pilot different initiatives. And then we're working with Dell and NVIDIA on a digital twin. Now, for a government, when we talk about digital twin technology, we like to look at things like flooding, developmental impact, traffic, because these are things that really, when you go out to the masses, people can relate to that. And it is great to make informed decisions as opposed to just going on a whim. So, for example, if we say that if there's a 10-foot tidal surge on Brickell, what does that look like? Well, if we go to the twin, we can see where the water goes. We can also see where we need to put pump stations, because we have a digital real-life replica of that particular area. And therefore, for local government, investing your tax dollars, That way we can make informed decisions as opposed to just guessing. And for all of this to happen, and people don't talk about this when they talk about data centers, all this stuff happens at the edge. And it's really about edge computing, inference computing, and maybe a little nuance, but for autonomous vehicles to operate in an environment, for these things to happen, you don't get the response time to go all the way to somewhere in the Midwest. It needs to happen at the edge. So autonomous vehicles, for example, return trip time. 10 milliseconds may seem like a real instant, real short time frame, but it's not when you have a autonomous vehicle barreling down within speed limit a road, and it has to make a decision whether to avoid an elderly person who just happened to step in the road or not. That's edge computing. And that decision has to happen at the local level where the activity is occurring. And that's part of the infrastructure. Another thing that we don't talk about, which the city has really leaned into, is the workforce around that to make it happen. Because when we talk about the infrastructure, when we talk about blockchain, when we talk about the technology, one of the things that's often overlooked is the workforce. There's a shortage of HVAC technicians. There's a shortage of electricians. It's not the sexy part of this, but as a local government building out the ecosystem, these are things that we think about and things that are important actually for the implementation of blockchain itself. 3 principles: connection, scaling, and stewardship. Because one thing about blockchain and the technology, it holds the promise of transparency. And that's at its core. And that's what we need to lean into and we need to support. Call the action. Alliances and vision. Alliance, collaboration, working together in partnership with founders, funders, local governments. That's very important because it's one thing to kind of theorize this stuff, but it comes into implementation in real practical environments. If you want to collaborate, if you want to reach out, there's my information. And one thing I would say that Miami has done, I have one of our participants in our Built in Miami program here. I want to give you a shout out. So the city of Miami, we invest in our local entrepreneurs and our founders. We have a program that's free. It's a 9-week program. We take people through scaling their business, through supporting them along their journey, connecting them with resources and grants, non-diluting equity to help them grow. And those are the things that really are needed in order to build out the ecosystem. So while I'm here about the blockchain conference, but I'm telling you what needs to happen from a government perspective, how we lean into this new technology. So look forward to collaborating, look forward to working with you. DM me, I'm available. Thank you.